Hey, good Wednesday morning, everybody. It's Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich, keeping an eye on the risk for some pop-up strong, maybe even severe thunderstorms this afternoon. It's kind of an interesting summer pattern that we're getting into right now, and I'll show you kind of the wide view here because there's a lot going on in the country. We've got a couple stalled fronts. We've had these what we call mesoscale convective vortexes or vortices. These are basically small little swirls. There's one down over Alabama. There's one up here in the Midwest. There's another one coming down through parts of Oklahoma. And these are essentially disturbances in the atmosphere that can kick off thunderstorms, but they also produce outflow boundaries, which the next day and even into the evening, as we get into the heating of the day, you could see additional storms develop. It does look like one of those is over the Charlotte area right now and maybe the Piedmont of the Carolinas, but because it's the morning hours, we're not seeing a lot of activity, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that uptick. It looks like maybe another one back here near Knoxville. So tracking all these can be pretty difficult because you just can't kind of figure out where they're going to go, and wherever they do, you tend to see a severe weather risk. So when I turn on the severe weather risk for today, you could see as I pop it up there, we've got a kind of sporadic severe weather risk. We've got the medium risk along this front and to our north, but most of the Carolinas are in that low risk today because of the potential that we could see some strong pop-up storms tomorrow. That risk shifts to the south and west of us, and as we go into Friday, that risk shifts down to the southwest again. So let's go back and look at what could happen today as this system kind of unfolds and heads our way. So I'm just going to focus on the short range rapid refresh guidance because the way things are changing with these storms today, that's kind of what you got to look at. So you can see where our clusters are. We've got one over Knoxville, these back to the west. Let's go a couple hours into the future. We'll get into about mid-afternoon, stop this at 3 o'clock. And we'll focus in on the Carolinas. You can see to the east, there's probably going to be an uptick in thunderstorm activity, but notice the storms developing on the ridge tops around 3, 4 o'clock. Those will start to shift east into the evening hours. Looks kind of typical summer pattern where we see the storms bubble up in the middle of the day on the ridge tops, the Blue Ridge, and then they drift to the east over time. But you can see how widely scattered they are. There's not a ton of these around, but the ones that could get going, especially in the mountains and foothills, potentially could produce some damaging winds. Maybe some small hail, but again, the tornado risk is pretty low. You see what's going on to our north, much bigger risk up there, and to our southwest. So we're kind of in between those two areas where there's a risk of severe weather, but I'll be honest with you, most areas are going to stay dry today. It's one of those situations where I often say if storms can get going, that's a big if, they're going to be strong to severe. We go into tonight, and you can see that this cluster to the south kind of makes a run at us. And this will be the interesting thing to watch because I've seen these type of setups where the storms can linger into the overnight, especially if you get these thunderstorm complexes to form like down here and to the north. They can last well into the overnight hours, especially a day like today where we've got super warm, humid air coming in from the south can keep them going. So we go to 2 o'clock in the morning and you can see they're pretty persistent. So let's go out a little bit further than this. So I go to 2 a.m. again, we go through time, you can see where these storms kind of go. They go to the south, and by tomorrow morning, there's not much left over as everything kind of dissipates. So on Thursday, I actually think we should get into a little bit of a lull, though there is some activity trying to develop down to the south as we go through time. The one thing about today that you probably have noticed immediately is, boy, do we have some humidity. And let me quickly just pop up the dew points, because I think the dew points are all the story today. There's the contour, but look where they are. This is the air you can wear, folks. Dew points are around 70 degrees, so it is super muggy out there. That's the fuel for these storms. We've already got that in place, obviously. Let's look at that other fuel that we look for called CAPE, which is low-level heat and humidity. I'm going to actually pull up the CAPE here in a second to kind of show you just how much we have, because it's pretty substantial out there. The surface-based CAPE, we call it. And I'll load this up. It'll take a second to load, but you'll see it load right in front of your eyes. You can see the brighter colors show a lot more out there. I'll back this up. 3 o'clock this afternoon. You can see the clouds this morning are likely helping us out a little bit, keep this down, but you see in the mountains and then off to the east where we have the highest levels, but clearly to our south and west a lot more. So overall today, I will tell you that the risk is pretty low that we're going to see severe weather. I'll turn on the radar real quickly again, but the ones that can get going could potentially be strong. So if you're looking for water or rain for your yard, this is probably not going to be the best chance. In fact, it looks like most of us will miss out. But if you get under these heavier downpours, there certainly could be some heavy rain. Of course, I'll keep an eye on this throughout the afternoon. If anything changes, I will post frequent updates, as always, on social media, WCNC.com, and our app on WCNC.